Scentland, the land of scent. Hello and welcome, it's Chris back with something different than a fragrance review today. I would like to share my experience and my thoughts and my guidance in regards to the art of layering. First of all, let's make a definition, because I see in the online world and in the fragrance community, in and outside, there's many discussions on which fragrance to layer with what other fragrance. Okay, so it's an interesting topic, but it needs some deep diving. Okay, it's very important because there are very important rules to stick to. And I'm going to explain as we go along. Okay, so first of all, the definition. Layering. What does layering mean? It basically means to apply multiple fragrances on yourself at the same time. Okay, that's what it means. It can be 2 fragrances, but it can be even more. Okay, because you have several different points on your body and in the clothing and stuff where you can actually apply fragrances. Let's go into the major and very important rules here, though, before starting to layer anything with anything else. Okay, most important rule, and this is the most important rule, and I start with it on purpose. Never ever apply 2 fragrances on top of each other on your skin. Don't mix them. That's what I want to say. Do not ever mix 2 fragrances. You can do it for fun, of course, yeah, but it doesn't make you a chemist. Okay, it doesn't make you a genius of chemistry. You will not find or discover a new fantastic blend. Okay, because that's not your job to do. Okay, your job is to find out which fragrance goes best with your personality and your body chemistry and so on and so forth. Okay, so do not mix fragrances on top of each other on your skin. But what you can do, well, who am I to tell? Okay, you can do anything you want. Okay, you can apply 12 fragrances on top of each other if you want to. It's free. Who am I to tell you what to do? Okay, but you don't want to come across as a schizophrenic weirdo, smelling of different personalities at the same time. Okay, and you don't want to win the Nobel Prize, I suppose, for trying to find new smells and new fragrance, creating new fragrance by layering several fragrances on top of each other. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, leave that to the professionals. Okay, how can you layer? How can you layer? You can actually layer beautifully. This is why people are doing it, I suppose. The best way of layering is, in my opinion, to use 2 fragrances, just 2. Okay, you can do more, and we'll go into that, but don't do more than 2. And the best way you do it is to apply the main fragrance on your bare upper body skin, and then put on the clothing, and then apply the second fragrance that you want to wear on other pulse points here, on parts of your face, maybe your hair, on the back of your head, or even on clothing. And this way, the 2 fragrances will be developing individually on you and will not mix directly. And that's the thing that you want to avoid. Okay? Straightforward, very simple. You will have this one that you applied on your upper body skin working with your body heat throughout the day, and it will give you, it will satisfy you, it will be there. If it's, obviously it depends on the quality of the fragrance as well. And you have the other one, dancing around your shoulders, on your clothing maybe, or on your hair, or actually on your pulse points as well, which are on your skin. It's fine, but not directly connected to the other part of your body where you initially applied fragrance A. Okay, so that's the best way to layer fragrances. Okay, you can do multiple fragrances as well. You can do one on the chest, then clothing up on top of that. Then you put something on the clothing, and then you put one on this pulse point, one on that pulse point, one on the back of your head. Well, that's already 5 different fragrances. You can wear them if you want. If it doesn't confuse you and people around you, why not? Yeah, you can do anything you want. Okay, but this way you could actually do it really and properly, because you would have all the 5 fragrances, one 2, 3, 4, 5 on different parts of your body, never directly interacting and mixing with each other, but all developing in their own and in their own pace, with their own silhouette, with their own projection, and working away. You could physically you could do it if you really find those 5 fragrances which are mixing well in this scenario. That's another thing, right? Second, second very important thing in regards to layering: which fragrances to layer or not to layer. Okay, to layer or not to layer. So that's the question, right? It's almost Shakespearean here at this stage. Okay, here beside my little gingerbread house made by my beloved wife. Okay, so there's a very basic rule to that: layer only fragrances that are one-dimensional, okay, or at most two-dimensional. I'm going to tell you why I say that. And never layer fragrances that are a blend of multiple notes and fragrances that are very complex in themselves. What do I mean? What fragrances? Give us examples. Ted Lapidus Pour Homme. Okay, if you look at the list of how many notes it consists of, it's maybe 20 or 30, right? It's huge. But I can name also. I'm a vintage guy, so I go back in time too. I could name Boss Number 1. I could name Christian Dior Poison if you want a woman's fragrance. So these are the very complex fragrances that you would never ever layer. Okay, never layer these because it doesn't make any sense, because these are standalone masterpieces in themselves. But I hate Aventus, but it's true for Aventus as well. Aventus is a very complex, very refined a fragrance that stands on its own feet. You don't layer Aventus with anything. Okay, it's complex. It consists of several facets. It has a development, and you don't want to mess that up with anything else. Okay, very important. So okay, what do I mean by one or two-dimensional fragrances that can be layered? Actually, good question. I give you a straightforward example. First, maybe let's go into the directions. Which are the fragrances that are these one-dimensional or two-dimensional fragrances? They can be aquatic smelling fragrances. They can be woody smelling fragrances. They can be incensey smelling fragrances, citrus smelling fragrances, something that is very straightforward green smelling, and that can be pine, it can be fir, that can be moss, stuff, categories basically like this. And you can fragrances from these categories and layer them with other fragrances from similar categories. So what do I mean? Give us examples, Chris. Just don't talk all this bullshit. Tell us. I'm going to tell you. Good example is Tommy Hilfiger Freedom, the 2012 version, because it smells like a walk on a cold North Atlantic beach. It has some salt, some seaweed, some aquatic stuff going on there, and that's it. It's very plain. It has these few notes, and it's maybe some vetiver. Great vetiver is one of the best notes for layering, actually. A vetiver based fragrance in the green category that I mentioned a minute ago. So it's a very, very one-dimensional fragrance. Not much of a development. It smells like having a refreshing walk. Great smell, love it, along the North Atlantic coastline. Okay, layer that with Pinot Silvestre, the original, which is a extremely one-dimensional pine smell, and these two come together perfectly. Again, not mixed directly, no. Apply Pinot Silvestre underneath your shirt, dress up, and then apply the Tommy Hilfiger Freedom 2012 with its aquatic, cold beach scenario, and they will work beautifully. Oh my goodness, they will have the separate developments, the separate timings in development, obviously throughout the day as you wear them, but they're gonna love each other on you. Great example for layering. I mentioned vetiver. There are several vetiver fragrances that are great. You can even though it's an extremely complex, not complex, but an extremely classy fragrance, Guerlain vetiver. It's great for Guerlain vetiver. The original great Guerlain vetiver is fantastic to layer with citrus fragrances. Amazing. Do put on Guerlain vetiver on your bare skin, on your upper body, and then put on your clothes, and then wear any citrus. You can wear on top of that, you can wear Dior Sport, the latest ones. Great. Oh, they're gonna love each other because you're gonna have that rooty, smoky vetiver with the citrus. Mesmerizing. Another great layering scenario is a great fragrance. Concretely great fragrance as an example, Azzaro Visit. Okay, Azzaro Visit is a two-dimensional fragrance. It has cedar wood, very strong cedar wood, and some smoky incense. Perfect for layering. Layer that on your upper body skin. Again, shirt on, coat on, whatever, and on top of that, you can put anything there. You can put another vetiver one if you want to keep it dark. You can put an aquatic one on top of that, because I'll tell you what, you're gonna smell like you're an odd fisherman on your boat, on your wooden boat out on the sea or something, maybe smoking a cigar on board or something, like it's because it has this smoky incense, this woodiness, and then the aquatic scenario. So you can actually create fantasy scenarios. That's what I want to get across. And it's great, it's huge enjoyment, to find the right fragrances to be layered with each other. Just make sure that these fragrances on both sides, fragrance A and fragrance B, or C, if you want to apply even more than two, are one or two dimensional fragrances, okay? In order for them to work best along with each other, and for you to keep the best control, because you want to stay in control of how you're smelling, okay? You don't want to be schizophrenic, okay? You don't want to have multiple personalities suddenly appearing on you, okay? But layering is great fun if it's done right. And in my experience, in my opinion, and according to my guidelines that I would tell you as somebody who is deeply involved with fragrances or fragrances, somebody recently told me, you don't spell the word fragrances correctly. Well, I have some, I speak 5 languages, so bear with me, motherfucker. Okay, so there you go. That's a special message to this gentleman. So in order to sum it up, have fun layering, okay? Have fun layering because it is fun. Do it right for more enjoyment and even more fun, okay? And actually, let me know if you have some great layering ideas. I gave you some from my own experience, but there's tremendous amounts of fragrances out there that you can layer tremendously. So in the comments, just keep them coming how you do it and what the fragrances are, these one or two dimensional ones that you actually love to layer. Great, because I always learn as well the same way as you do, and so I'm very open for these opinions. Thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to give you some insight into layering, into the art of layering. Thank you. Bye-bye.